All right, so usually I start the podcast off with some type of funny story that doesn't relate to the topic, but today I felt like I'll change it up for once and start with a story that actually has some gravity to it. So the other day, I'm at Del Taco. Me and my son are getting back from an Amazon shift because, yes, sometimes I take them on them with me. And we pull up to Del Taco, and a lady walks in while me and my son have already ordered. We're sitting down waiting for our food, and a lady walks in with luggage, and her daughter walks in right behind her. A cute little girl, and she's homeless, and you can tell she's trying to just do what she can to make her way. So we're sitting there. I'm observing because people watch, and she walks up to the counter and she starts giving change out of her pocket to pay for the food. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching, and I just go over there and the debit card. She thanks me, of course. And I'm like, I don't really need the thanks or whatever. Just feed the little one. And we sit down, we eat, and Aiden's just staring at her, and it kind of hit home for me because it's real familiar. That story of a woman piecing everything together to provide for the child is hella familiar to me. So familiar that I felt like it should be addressed early because the community episode was supposed to be episode 12 or something like that, where I talked to the man out there about the children. So, because it's kind of dark and I gotta address it, made sure that I had some theme music.
When the beat gets solid and dust
So we
start
coming
knocking,
for
when the
y'all
body
today.
start dropping, you ain't got no option. The beat gets solid and dust start knocking, when
We're
the
gonna let
body
this
start
rock for a
dropping, you
second.
ain't got no option. Let's roll with the reaper, and it fit it in our burn souls with the reaper,
Okay.
and it fit it in our burn foes with the reaper, and it fit it in our serve flows with the reaper. Roll with the reaper, chill with the reaper, I kill with the reaper, I write with the reaper, I tight with the reaper, I rap with the reaper, wear black with the reaper, if you're up with the reaper,
Reaper? Okay.
Hi,
All
Daddy.
right, so let's rewind a little bit. So the problem that I have, I'm guessing, and at this time, is that we don't address the issues community-wise. We don't address the people that we pass every single day. We usually like to point the finger at, oh, well, this race or that race. So I felt that it was important to start here when I'm talking to the people that I see that look like me every single day that aren't doing the things that I feel that we all should do. And I feel like most people will agree with me that we need to build our children up and take care of them, right? Because they are our future. They're who we leave behind once we're dead and gone. And the same soil that they're gonna walk on later on and is really, really influential to the path that we're going on and the way and the routes that we're moving in life. So my life experiences I felt like was important to grab so I can give you guys a little background before I do try to tell you guys what I feel that you guys should do. And you not feeling like I don't know the struggle that comes along with raising a child, our childhood, our being a parent and being a father, and why I feel it's so important to me. So when I was talking about the lady in the beginning, that hit home for me because I remember my mom countless nights just scooping up and scraping up the things that she had because she didn't have the assistance. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but when you think about a two-person household, you think about the finances being, oh well, split down the middle or things like that. But imagine you having to do that with four children, like my mom did, where she has to take care of all of us on whatever she makes, regardless if she gets paid more or less. So when I seen that, it resonated with me, and it made me feel bad. It hurt me. It hurt my soul in so many ways, because it's like, man, like, I know that struggle. And that's a problem for me. It's a problem for me that we're still seeing that in 2018, like we haven't learned from before. We need to grow up as a community. We need to grow up and make things that didn't make sense in the past start to now make sense. When we talk about breaking the chain and breaking the rotation, or breaking the circle that has been completely detrimental to our growth, we should be doing that. Like, why are we still doing the same things that we did, decades ago, 3 decades, if we're just counting my life, and continuing to not make things make sense, if that makes sense. Producer, did that make sense? Yeah? Oh, okay. Producer is. So, sometimes, as parents, we're supposed to, and this is just for me, we're supposed to be making those life sacrifices. So, people always judge me about how I dress, because I dress like crap. I'm okay with it. My kids stay fly. And sometimes we have to make those sacrifices of, do I eat or the kids eat? Of course, it's a no-brainer for most of us as adults. So why is that? Why is it not a no-brainer for us to take care of them and provide for them? See, there's a social norm out there, and the social norm tells us that women are providing for the kids at a higher rate than the males are in our community. That's a problem. It's a problem that it's still that's still the social norm. See, when we think about social norms and society and the way that things work, we usually are supposed to learn from these developments, right? So if we're looking at 10 years ago, 20 years ago, we seen that wasn't working for us, so we continue to do it to today. See, I come from the background that there's no dad in the home, and mom has to do everything. She has to be the provider. She has to be the person that protects. She has to be the person that nurtures us and thinks about us emotionally and takes care of us emotionally, as well as keeping the same mentality that I still have to raise these people to be X, Y, and Z. I have to raise the women to conform to society, and I have to raise the male to be tough and be able to provide later. So if I can't give my son these tools as a father, then he has to learn it as a mother, which you don't really know. You don't really understand. And that's the issue. See, there's another norm, a social norm that I get, and I was talking about it the first episode, where we talk about praising the dad. And if you're a dad and you're around, then you're just the greatest person in the world. And even though that's okay, why are we not knocking down the ones that aren't publicly? Because a lot of the times we say, yo, yeah, he's just not around, or you'll say that to the next person that you start talking to, or you'll say that stuff to, your mom, or and then you don't want to bring it to other people because you feel like you're going to be judged. You feel like that's the wrong way to go about it. Like, yeah, you don't say it to the kids because you want them to build their own perspective of their parents, but we should be knocking those people down that aren't providing for the kids, because if we don't, they just continue to do the same, to exhibit the same behavior that they have for their lifespan, and for our lifespan as humans that we grow up. Like, yo, I never want my kids to wake up one day and feel the way that I felt with an absent parent. Ever. I don't want them to wonder why dad or mom wasn't around. So I make the environment clear that, yo, you can be here partially or fully, but as long as you're here, it's okay with me because I didn't have that. And that's a start. So we need to start making sure that we start making people take accountability, because accountability is something that we have to live by a day on our day-to-day basis. If you do something strange or messed up at work, you're accountable for it. You may be fired. And I feel like sometimes we need to treat like kids like a job, because we all know as parents that it is a job. So reversing the norms is very important to me, because I am so tired of seeing people, dudes in general, taking the next woman out and not taking care of your children first. Because you don't have to be involved with the mom after the kid is conceived and you guys have broken up. You don't even have to think about the mom anymore, but you do have to think about your child. And if your child is over there struggling or looking nasty on a daily basis, and you out here looking fly, and I see you riding down the street with the next chick, and your kids is out there starving, that's a problem for me. And it should be a problem for you as the person that's doing it. Because at the end of the day, your kid didn't ask to be here. So community, when I'm saying these things to you, is because I come from this background and I live it every single day. I'm not one of those people that are going to sit here and do that whole I'm not practicing what I preach thing. Like, I live this every single day. Ask about me. So that's the issue when I'm addressing people, the energy that you give out towards your kids. It's funny, I was talking to my homeboy the other day, and we were talking about the poor-minded mentality, and he was saying that in the Bible that it says that it's always going to be poor people. And he wasn't talking about monetary wise, he was talking about the mind of a poor person. And that's what I'm trying to get people to see now, is that it's a poor man's mentality to continue the traits that didn't work before us, right? So our objective in life, especially when we start to have kids, regardless of what age you are, you're supposed to still have that mentality of a rich man mentality, as in, I'm still going to provide and protect and do things for my family, regardless of the situation, because nothing should be able to stop you. Because if you have determination and integrity, those are the things that you want to do in life anyway. So being poor-minded goes right along with the mentality of keeping that same stigmatization that, oh, well, this is the social norm. That's part of being poor-minded, not being able to change. Like, we have to change our thought process so we can understand our development. So let's get off the poor-minded thing, and let's get on to the perception of parenting. See, people perceive things totally because, like, sometimes they see it on the internet. Like, oh man, you're such a good parent, your kid's always with you. I'm really tired of you Instagram parents. Alright? Let me tell you something. I understand that you like taking pictures, but if you at home putting on 5, 6 different outfits a day, so you can try to trick me into the fact that you actually being a parent, that's a problem. It's a really big problem. Actually, it's worse than you just not being there completely. See, kids aren't dumb, and people aren't either. And I feel like when you're doing things for attention, that's probably, well, it makes you the worst person in the world. It's not a probably thing. Don't be an Instagram parent, you guys. Instagram parenting will get you nothing but likes, but in the long run, it will bite you in your ass. because you're not really there. I'm off that. So one of the things that I did to, or we did as my group of friends, because everyone in my circle takes care of the kids. I don't really deal with people that don't because I feel so strongly about it, and I don't want that to set the tone in my life because I feel like you are who you hang with is really true. So one of the things that we did, um, my friends and I, to make life work a little better for us and for us to create that family element because we never knew what it was that we actually started to a friends and family reunion every year. So with our friends and family reunion, we create a bond with our children and their children and our immediate family. So it's a group of 8 of us, and we invite our families, our immediate families, and then basically we're trying to bond something that can't be broken, and we do it every year. And we do that to show our kids that this is what family is, and this is the element that you want to do, and it's all love around you at all times, and this is what love feels like. Because it's hard to grasp that, and that's why I was telling you, community is that when you have a one parent household, it doesn't just hurt you like financially, but it also hurts you emotionally because what it does is it creates a cycle that now this parent has to work extra hard for you to be able to function and get through life, right? Because everything costs money. So most of the time, what ends up happening is that if it's just mom or if it's just dad, you sit there and you don't see your parent most of the time. So you're surrounded by just your friends, and we all know that when you're surrounded by nothing but peers, you usually follow suit because that's all you have. You don't have any actual direction. So we try to can all that. We try to like, especially with me, what I try to do, my hardest is to work with the other parent. So males, men out there, what we need to start doing as men is, regardless of the attitudes that we receive from mom or mom's family or anybody else that wants to get involved, because there's always a bunch of people bickering, telling you what you should do and shouldn't do. Don't follow none of that. As men, we need to find a way to coexist because the child needs both of us. So it can't just be, nah, fuck that bitch, or nah, fuck that nigga. For the women out there that's listening, it has to be okay, this is an understanding of how we're gonna work this together because that's part of the cycle that needs to be broken as well. Because the next man that walks up to me and tells me that, yo, she won't let me see my kids, I'm slapping you. Let me tell you why. Because there's I have homeboys that went through that. There's a court system. At the end of the day, if she's not allowing you to do something, you have to do it by force, and you can't do it by putting your hands on her because then you end up in jail. And that's just stupid because then your kids have to see that. You take it to court. They don't bring the kids in. And you guys, if mediation doesn't work, then what they tend to do is put you guys in a setting where they can negotiate it for you. And then usually once that starts happening and the ball starts rolling on that, it doesn't matter what she says or what she does or anything like that. But first, we have to start talking it out. And that's the last resort in most cases. Outside of, nah, fuck that, I'm just not going to see her or the kid. Or, oh, I'm not going to see him or the kid. It's very important for us as, especially minorities, to start evolving as adults, evolving as people, being able to put our small differences aside for the bigger picture, which is the kid. Because at the end of the day, at one point in your life, you love that person. unconditionally, and that's why you guys had the kid. You know, it's funny to me when oh yeah, I hate that person, but I just seen you in a picture, like maybe 2 years ago, maternity pictures. You're like the happiest man in the world holding that belly. Are you with the happiest woman in the world letting them hold the belly? And you have to remember those times when stuff starts getting rough. And as men, we're supposed to just follow suit because it's okay to be emotional about things, but it's not okay for that emotion to drive you into doing something ridiculous. I hear it all the time, like people doing off the wall shit for something that happened temporarily, right? It's what's that saying? Making permanent decision off of temporary feelings. We have to stop doing that. It was funny. I heard a quote earlier, and it struck gold with me. And it was attract more people that create light than heat, and that's what we have to do daily. Because when you continue on a daily basis to be as good as possible and fall in to line and I'm going to swing this in to your kids, people around you see it. So the happier that you are, right, in your place, you know, the happier that thing. And everyone knows that kids are sponges, right? So they usually can absorb and feel everything that you're going through. It's just so much easier. Like I don't want to see what I seen the other day again. I don't. I'm tired of seeing women doing it by themselves. I'm tired of seeing men doing it by themselves. But as men, we're the ones that the social norm is against. We're the ones that have to sit back and take the day to day. Like, yo, we ain't doing our shit. We're not taking care of our families. We're not doing what we're supposed to do. You hear it on the news all the time, and the first thing that they say is, "Oh, it was a broken home. Dad wasn't around." And aren't we tired of that excuse? Aren't we tired of hearing that? I don't want my son or daughter to ever be like, "Yo, Dad wasn't around, and this is why life went left." Like, no, your life went left because you made the decision. And we don't even have the right to say that most of the time because I remember me as a kid going out and looking for acceptance from other people around me, my peers, because I didn't have the male role model at home. So, yo, the big homie, he's gonna be the one that's gonna be like a dad. So I'm gonna do everything he say. And that's crazy when you're not when you're looking up to somebody that's not your dad because they're not looking for your best interest. So, in closing, I just want to give just a small recap of the importance of being a dad and the importance of being selfless and not selfish in the rights because our kids never asked to be put on this planet. And because you're the one that made the choice to do it, we should follow suit, just as a community. So we need to start rising up, being more important, getting off the clown shit, stop being whatever stigmatism that we've been getting over the years. We need to stop being that. It's time for change. The social norm, it's time for it to be developed in another light. I would like for the social norm to be that, oh man, those black families really stick together. Those Spanish families really stick together. Those the trials and tribulations. The women are not the only ones that are out here taking care of their kids. That's what I want to hear. So until next time, I gotta get out of here and raise these kids.